next thing that we're gonna tackle are the lips. Now, our makeup artist did a very good job putting some makeup on our model's lips. But I think we can still enhance our lips a little bit, and you will know in the future if the lipstick or the colors, they don't mismatch. Usually here on the inside of the lips, usually the color of the lipstick wears out first, and it's a good skill to know what to do in order to fix the lips. Also, here we can see that the color is out of contour, and we might be able to fix this. Now we have already copy merged and saved our project. So the next thing to do is to create a copy of our base layer, and we're gonna rename it lips. We can activate these layers. And what I'm gonna do is to create a contour around our lips. I'm using the same pen tool, just a basic pen tool. Zoom in a little bit, hold P, and then I'm gonna trace a contour around my model's lips. As you can see here, the lipstick contour is very good. This is why it's important to have a very good makeup artist near you. Okay, so after we did our selection, we're gonna hit right click and then make a selection. And for this, I want the radius to be 0. We don't want any feather. And then we're gonna click OK. So now Control J, and then I'm gonna hit again Control click. And what I'm gonna do, here we can see some fading in our color. And also we see some spillage outside the lips area. So again, with our clone stamp tool, we make the brush size a little bigger, we increase our opacity, and we sample next to our area, and we go around the lips. Notice how the clone stamp brush doesn't spill out of our selection, and this is why we made a selection. It would be easier to just go directly with our stamp tool, but as soon as we have a selection, it just stops there. Just like this. Also here, we can go. And now, you can see it before and after. But now how about the outside spillage of this area? So what we are gonna do is go back on our lips layer and then invert our selection. So how do we invert our selection? Well, we can hit, let me zoom out so you can see. So you can hold Control Shift I and just invert the selection. And now everything apart from our lips is selected. Go back on clone stamp tool, hit the skin, make the brush a little more bigger, hit the skin, and paint the area of the lips. Just like this. Now what we are creating is a refined edge of a lip. Oh, this is too much. Now we can deselect our area, and as I've said before, sometimes it looks too obvious, or maybe it looks too sharp. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna merge these two layers, and I'm gonna click merge layer. And then what I'm gonna do is lower my opacity. For everything we've done so far, we lower the opacity. We have applied some frequency separation, we lower the opacity. We apply the inverted high pass filter, we lower the opacity. We enhance the eyes, we lower the opacity. So the same thing we're gonna do to our lips here, we're just gonna lower the opacity. So I think around 50%. I think it looks good. Let's see a before and after. Look at the area around the corner of the mouth. Much better, much sharper. And this is the way we enhance the lips of our model. Now, let's get into the next part of our tutorial. I'm gonna rename this layer called lips. So what if we go even further? What if you want to change the color of the lips? Let's say you want the lips to be a shade darker, or you just want a different kind of color. So you have two ways of doing this. You need to select the lips again. Going with the pen tool. And I'm gonna make a selection again. I'm gonna feather the radius at 1 pixel. Then I'm gonna create a new layer, Control J or Command J. And then what we can do is going on a color balance, create a clipping mask, and then we can play with our colors. We can make it a deep red, or we can make it a different kind of shade, or if you want to make them purple or warmer or magenta. But keep in mind, let's say we want a different shade of lipstick. Keep in mind that we also, in this selection, we selected the teeth. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a layer mask, and I'm just gonna deselect, as our layer would not be affected and our teeth will remain the same color. Again, you can play with the opacity here and make the lips like this, purple-ish. Or you can try another thing and go with the hue and saturation. Again, create the clipping mask. If you create a hue and saturation layer underneath a clipping mask, it will also clip onto the base layer. So now you can play with the hue adjustment and completely change the color of the lips. It doesn't look appealing, but you might find this very, very useful. I'm just gonna deactivate this, group this layer, and you will find this in the PSD file later on if you want to play with it. I'm gonna call it lip color. Again, I'm gonna save our document. Now that you know how to edit the lips to create a selection around them or maybe change the color of the lips, now it's time to move on and edit the hair.